Hello everyone, this is JI from Couch and Keyboard, and here we are after a great weekend of Melee. Gonna go over it real fast. Yeah, lots of good stuff. We had Creed and Fight of the Museum, each with a pre-local, and I kind of want to go over some of that stuff real fast. So we have Fly Melee Fly, based off of the Fly Eagles Fly, the Philadelphia Eagles song chant thing. And yeah, so they had their normal local here be the pre-local, and nothing too crazy happened. We saw Squid lose kind of early. Squid's not nearly as good as it used to be. Panos beat Dawson. Panos, kind of known for more being like in region, but also beat Slug at altitude sickness. So Panos is doing pretty good there. Inky beating Kevbot. Inky from Quebec, I believe, or at least like Montreal. And yeah, so winners, nothing too crazy here, just a couple upsets, but most things like they are supposed to. Losers got a little bit unusual just because Dawson losing so early. Dawson being the 6th seed, being able to do pretty good in a lot of things. Lynx Winks over Anakin, I think technically was an upset. Yeah, Lynx Winks was 15, Anakin 10. Rap M went and Young Neil went game 3. Young Neil is an up and coming, I think Jersey Fox. But yeah, Dawson had a really big run. Lynx Winks also beat Kevbot, so good stuff. I believe this was the Mark Ditto, and then this was Mark Fox. Panos making top 8. Frog Chip from Ireland, I believe. Didn't quite get top 8 here, but Dawson beat Lynx Winks. And then after Rapim, Crudo went game 5. Crudo also lost game 5 to Dawson. Puff Chic twice in a row. So, doing pretty good here. And then Rat Monster beat another Puff. On top of getting one set from SDJ. Khalid and Faust now beating Dawson. So starting to collect some good wins. I think Rat Monster's beaten Dawson before, but never a bad thing. Did lose H-Box. Yeah, that's all right. And then we have the main event. It was a one-day, so they crammed a lot of stuff in. They had a small Rivals 2 bracket, which was kind of stomped by Sandstorm, one of the best players in the world for it. They did a redemption bracket for a lot of players. I don't like doing redemption single elim. I think you should do double elim, and then if it's taking too long, to start DQing in losers. At least give some people some more sets, but it's better than nothing. I think it's cool to do it at all. I can't be too picky. And then they also had redemption, one with the same person. So Anakin, shout outs, pretty good NDVA Marth. Doubles was pretty wacky. Nothing too insane on this part of the bracket, but JKJ and Skittles, I forget who JKJ plays, but this was a pretty big deal. I think Ziff is not, amazing at doubles, but Peach is still pretty good, and so this is a big deal. Nav and Quote beat the Mario team here. Nav, a really good Fox, up and coming in NBVA. I remember seeing him play, and I was like, okay, he's going to be something. So, not surprised there. Saucy Main and Jada was able to get top 6 here. The Mario team was able to get through. Wally Mott Money were the 4 seed, lost to 5 Dawson Juice Box, and unfortunately had to get 9th running into Ziff H Box. Slug and Panos got 5th place, not too bad. I think that's their seed, so it was whatever. Yeah, we saw like Aklo teaming with Killer Cubs. Took a game off of Ziff and H-Box, but we saw some people team with players, like one really good and one like kind of so-so player. And I think that's an interesting doubles kind of like archetype, where it's like instead of having, it's like Pro-Am a little bit, to where it's like one ranked player, one unranked. I don't think it's necessarily always done that way, but yeah. And so Kevbot Rat Monster, we had 2 Luigis in doubles, it was pretty funny. Crudo Jmook able to clutch it out both in game 5. I watched some of these games, they were really close, but Kevbot is really good, but seemed like a weak player in doubles. I think that like there were some good things, but I don't know. I think that Kevbot is not as like, at least based on this, Kevbot's a good player, has a pretty good singles history recently. So I'm not going to take it away, but it did feel like Grandmonster was held back a little bit, but was able to clutch out a 2v1. And it wasn't like just, I feel like Shroomed and SUJ, the chop down there, like at Genesis was a little bit overstated. It was just kind of silly. This one was a true like outplay, like Mango style, to where it's like just went crazy, got like a down smash which like killed Peach and hit Puff to not get punished, and all this kinds of stuff, and then clutched with the platform cancel there, and almost reset the bracket, super close. But Crudo Jmook, I don't expect like double Sheik to do that well, but I mean, Sheik back air is a freaking huge move, and forward air can be just a really good good way to kill. Kevbot did fine in some of these games. I feel like, you know, like Rat Monster is also just like pretty experienced in teams. I think it's cool that Rat Monster's trying different things. He tried it was a Dragonov? I forget if it was Drunk or Dragonov. I know those two teamed at Collision. But whichever one of those, the Fox, that Rat Monster team was at Genesis. I think that the styles were pretty cool. I think Rat Monster teamed with like Super Ginger, like a MDVA Fox. So I think he's used to teaming with Fox, and I think that's interesting. I want to keep seeing Rat Monster, even if it's different players. I still want to see it. Singles was pretty nutty. In pools, we had Frostbite over Young Neil. That was 16 and 17, so nothing too crazy, but Frostbite, a pretty good ICs recently, top 100. Young Neil becoming in region. We had I'm Michael BTW over Saucy Main. Saucy Main did not make it out of pools, unfortunately, but you know, that's how it goes. You also had Porkers over Jude. Jude being a pretty good Marth. Apollo over Anakin, leading to Anakin eventually getting to Redemption bracket. Dirt over Luigi Gauchard, one of the better Luigis. This was like losers round 3. Luigi Gauchard lost to Blesse, and then Dirt took him out. That's pretty surprising. Seabass beat JKJ, so good stuff to the PM Mario himself. Catan J over Juicebox. That was a 6 over a 3 in the pool, and Juicebox has had some really good runs, so that was pretty surprising. But then 8VA, music notation for octave, I don't know if that's what they really go by, but also beat JKJ and Catan J to make it out. So that's a pretty big deal. And then Killicubs beat Elephant 6. Elephant 6 had a really good Creed 4. So I think they seeded them high, but didn't do too hot. And yeah, so nothing too crazy. Like the biggest losers were like Young Neil, but this was like 16 and 17. Like a lot of the players and winners didn't, like the top 16 seeds didn't really get upset until top 32. We had a little bit of silliness going on here, but the biggest upsets here were Inky over Slug. Inky has had a couple good upsets here and there. Beat Kevbot the night before. I think he's beaten... I don't know if Inky beat it. Maybe I think it was Anya. But has had some good wins before. But beat Slug. And, I mean, Slug just beat Jmook. Has, like, you know, done very well against Sheik in the past. Obviously being a pretty good matchup. But Inky clutching out. ePoodle Kim, I think I predicted ePoodle to do well in this. I don't know. ePoodle just has that ability to kind of just clutch up here and there. Crudo over Rat Monster, they've gone back and forth. I don't think that's a big upset. Crudo did get revenge from the night before. Kim losing to Frog Chip being the Irish Fox. I mentioned Squid over Agent. That's a pretty big deal. Lynx Winks over Mop Money. Freeze over Kevbot. Juicebox over Frostbite, another Sheik beating a ICs. This is in region, so I feel like it's probably stylistically a little bit more familiar. Freezus was playing really good, beating Juicebox to get top 12. And then we had Big Buffalo and Frog Chip. Was definitely not expected to be the matchup here. Dawson beats Squid, getting 9th place. Inky clutching it out. You know, one of the few non-Americans to make top 8. Frog Chip narrowly away. I felt like 404 Cray would do a good job. 3-0ing Kevbot, had to go into H-Box, but making top 8, Rap Monster Slug. Rap Monster has done great against Slug. Like I've said in the past that Ben likes to go Luigi against Ices. I think some people consider it to be a pretty good matchup for Luigi, just being able to move around quickly and breaking up the Ices pretty well. I think it's also just a comfort. You have Frostbite in region. I think it's something that Rap Monster is good at. ePoodle defeating Freezus, kind of ending this really hot run here. Yeah, not too crazy in terms of who made it into top 8. Slug, notably not being there, was a bit surprising. Besides that, and Kim getting out so early, most of the top seeds made it in. Because you had Inky, who was 13, that's the lowest. ePoodle at 10, but everyone else was a top 8 seed, so not too crazy. Yeah, you had 3 in losers with Rap Monster, but not too wild. Rap Monster 3-0ing ePoodle, showing that he's very good at the Marth matchup. And then beating Aklo after HBox beat Aklo. I was really wanting to see this match, and Aklo went Link. Now, Link on FD seems like a really difficult character to beat. It's just really weird. But I also think that Rap Monster has, being a PM player and a little bit of Ultimate too, Rap Monster has more matchup familiarity across Smash in general. I don't know how much he's played against PM Link. I imagine it'd be more useful than Ultimate. But I think it also just speaks to his ability to adapt. Who knows if it had started on Battlefield and then gone FD. It might have been it was probably good to get FD out of the way. That's probably the scariest iteration of Link is when he's on FD and you don't have a good projectile to combat it. I think that's just with Marth or Peach. Peach is okay, but you have to pull your turnip, and you have to be grounded while Link can jump. And I feel like Link can also throw out a boomerang without having to pull it. It's not just based on bombs. So yeah. Adapted well there. 404K getting 5th. I feel like I predicted 404K getting 5th place. A little bit different. Didn't have to go through Slug or anything, but beat someone who beat Slug, so not bad there. Jmook winning the Ditto, and then not doing too great against HBox. Crudo defeating Rap Monster again. I think their lifetime head-to-head might be 5-5 or something. Depends on how much you want to count pre-locals or whatever. I think it's worth at least considering. And then Jmook 3-0ing in the Ditto, taking a game off of HBox and Grands, but this was solid. HBox win, nothing too insane. I was thinking Rap Monster would have a path to winning, but that implies that HBox would have to lose, because I don't think Rap Monster can beat HBox right now. And goes to show, HBox, Aklo probably being the most difficult matchup on paper. Jmook has taken sets before, but, I think that HBox is pretty comfortable in that matchup. And yeah, this was a good event. I really liked it. I watched this one a little bit more than I watched the West Coast tournament. Just lined up with my schedule a little bit better. But you had Adam Smash Series. They report a lot of data here, and I really appreciate that. You had a couple interesting matchups here. They had larger brackets overall, 49 to 64, and then 188 to 322. You did have more here, but I think this had a lot of the legacy of Creed being in a very important. I heard this might be the last Creed, which is unfortunate because Creed has been a really big event for the Northeast. It's been hype, and but yeah, Adam Smash Series. We had Aura losing to Ultra. You had Zoe beating Dial M. This was best of 3, but I mean it's still impressive. Turbo beating Easy. That's not crazy. But yeah. Friend losing to Fishbait. Who did Fishbait lose to? Okay, Fishbait lost pretty early. Yeah, Peach Ices will do that. And then Dial M beating Cliche, losing to Aura. Graves beating Elliot, the weapon, in the Falco Ditto. Stiv was going Yoshi against Falco. I understand that Fox Falco, there's been some Falco propaganda of winning the matchup, but I don't know, it's a little unusual. But yeah, Ultra getting to winners finals, pretty good. But Salt kind of put a damper on that real fast. And then Ultra getting the run, or Aura getting the run back on Ultra, but then Salt winning it all. Not surprising. Salt has been kind of running Oregon. We saw Magi do pretty good the last time at Egg Dog House Party in May, but this was a little bit different. Now, doubles was a little bit silly. You had Joshman going a bunch of random characters, going Falcon, going Marth, going Falco at some point, and it worked kind of fine. It was like, I don't know, man. This set was really silly because they kept like SDing to do a 1v1. Saul also lost pretty early. We see another kind of pro-am team where you have one really good person, one not that saying he's bad, but I mean clearly not on the same level as some of these other players. But yeah, and then we have they called it the Zoomers versus the the Boomers of Colorado. Colorado not being that close to the West Coast, but like considered to be Western half, and did fine here. Ultra and Dial M, both Perry GG sponsors. I don't know if that means they're the same. I don't know where Ultra's from. I don't know if Ultra's Pacific Northwest or Colorado or what, but either way, they were teammates for sponsors. It was cool that they did doubles together. Fizzwiggle and Fishbait, beat Joshman and Aura twice. I think that's a pretty cool. Joshman wasn't necessarily going mains, but they're both good players. Joshman has good awareness, and then a pretty dominant, double 3-1 in grands. Good stuff to the oldies of Colorado. Super Boom Fan won Smash 64. Had a couple traditional fighters with 2XKO, Guilty Gear. I don't really recognize any of these players. I don't know how significant they are. But yeah. And then melee singles, they had waves of the final part of bracket, which is pretty cool. In terms of pools, there wasn't anything pretty crazy. Even in losers, there was only one player that didn't make it. That was a top 16 seed into top 16, and that was Fishbait. Losing to Spirit Gun. This was a bit of a wonky match. Fishbait actually going Ices for some of it. I think was trying to go for a Sheik counter pick because Sheik Peach can seem a little bit Sheik favored. We don't have as much Armada propaganda nowadays, so people might think that this is pretty bad for Peach in some ways. I can see that, but Spirit Gun actually clutched it out. Another very close upset in terms of seeding. It was like 17 over 16, so it's not that crazy. But losing the Peach Ditto to Mustache Massacre, I don't know who that is, but yeah. We did have Broth beating Friends, another Peach versus Ices, and then we had Jonte over Easy. Easy, I thought was doing pretty good. But got upset a few times, losing to Jonte in the Fox Ditto here. But, top 16, who got there wasn't that crazy. I feel like Rainy over Vegas Matt was a little bit unexpected. Zoe over Cliche, not too crazy. Fizzwiggle over Chango, overcoming a pretty tough matchup. Stiv going Yoshi in this matchup again. This is a pretty big deal. So Dylan got 3-0'd the day before, another one-day event, by the way. And then beats Aura. People will remember Junebug versus Triff at Egg Dog Invitational 2 years ago. And it's like, oh, DK Peach is not that bad. A lot of people's like, no, Peach beats DK pretty solidly. And for whatever reason, we get another DK win while people were talking about that. I was like, huh, all right then. Top 8 seeds all made it. It's just the 4 and 5 are switched. Nothing too crazy there. But Elliot, the weapon, as the 8th seed coming in and beat Aura. So Aura getting 7th place, doing better at the, I guess Aura got 7th. It was tying his full house placing in his own backyard. A little bit unfortunate. Ultra beating Graves, the 7 over 6, and then Ultra beating his fellow sponsor mates, Dial M. Yeah, that's how it goes sometimes. Sometimes you get a good win, but you're not able to replicate it. Going with Game 5 with Josh, man, that's pretty good. Salt getting revenge on Magi from last week. Magi winning another Falco Ditto, which Magi has been, like, that's where she got her claim to fame, beating Mango in that Falco Ditto, so makes sense for her to be at least, fine in that matchup. Beating Ultra Game 5, so Ultra had a really good tournament as a 7th seed, making it to 4th place and having some pretty close sets. Salt losing to Joshman initially. Joshman showing that the Falcon struggles that he was known for last year and even earlier at like Genesis. Joshman has been on a Falcon slaying spree for sure. Now this caused us to not see Joshman Magi. I would have liked to see that set, but Salt versus Magi again. Salt again getting another run back here, and then beating Joshman in pretty dominant fashion. So Salt being the winner. We had singles winners the same for both, where we had HBox winning both, and we had Salt winning both. So really good weekends for them. I would say that Creed was probably a little bit more top heavy, just in terms of like high level talent. But Fight at the Museum had a lot of players, a lot of solid competition. While we didn't see that many upsets early on, it's still good to see that. I think it's cool to, we had like SoCal come out for this. Like, that's cool. Pacific Northwest, like, I think having those West Coast, even though it's like a regional, national, whatever you want to call it, I think it's cool to have that. And we had a lot more Foxes and Falcos here. This was like Spacey Central with a couple other ones here and there. If you look at top 8, it has a Peach, a DK, and then Spaceys and Falcon. Like, a lot of Spaceys. And that's Melee, but we had a lot more Sheiks for Creed, where we had 3 Sheiks, and then a Puff, a Marth, 1 Falco, 1 Fox/Link. So definitely different styles of play. I think Fight at the Museum had a little bit more fast-paced play, just in general. But, I think they were both great brackets. Really fun to watch. Well run. I guess, I wasn't able to watch Fight at the Museum as much because I was watching Creed. But both really cool. I liked having the ability to watch both. I wish it could have been coordinated a little bit more. I might make a video about, the timing of multiple events and stuff like that. But yeah, I liked it. We got not that much coming up next week. I know there's the online invitational for the Rising Stars. They reschedule it to be next weekend. I think there's something small. And then the following week is Battle BC. That's going to be hype. A lot of players going to that. But yeah, this was a nice little interim stuff because we had a bunch of stuff back to back. The houses into Altitude Sickness. And then we had a little bit of a break, and then we had Creed and Fight at the Museum 2, both fun events, and I appreciate both the East and West Coast for putting on some good events. Yeah, on to next week. It'll be some good stuff.